Hi, we're Jude and Dave from Anam Cara Sailing. This is an intro to the channel and a sort of explanation as to what we're doing and what we're up to. So we just quit our jobs, we've sold our cars, we've sold our house, and we've moved on board our boat, a Sun Odyssey 36.2 called Anam Cara, which is Celtic for soulmate. We're planning to sail around the UK, initially over to Ireland, up to the Isle of Man, and then we'll see where we're going after that, possibly down to the Med, but who knows what the future holds. So I worked in tech for my whole career. That allowed me to afford to go on various holidays and stuff. I went on a few beach holidays. One in particular went out to Greece, and there was a place called Club Vunaki there. I think it's stopped doing the beach holidays now, but at the time you could go out there and learn windsurfing or dinghy sailing or whatever. And I went out there. The first week that we went out there, I did windsurfing, absolutely loved it. The weather out there is perfect for sailing, so every day it would be about a force 2, so really light winds to get going, and then about 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon the wind would build up to a 4 or 5. And you could really progress your skills nicely. Very consistent direction, no waves or anything in the Ionian Sea, so it was absolutely perfect. Then went back for a second week and concentrated that time on dinghy sailing, and one day I was out on the dinghy sailing talking to an instructor, and there was a marina there, and I kind of said, how do I take one of those boats out? That's bigger than this, it looks like fun. And he said, oh, you can take one out tomorrow, it's the same ropes and everything. So that was it. I did pay for an instructor the following day, and a couple of us went out on the yacht, and I was hooked. I absolutely loved it. And then as soon as I got back, I booked my competent crew course here in Gosport, actually, has the marina. Then immediately after that, booked my day skipper down in Falmouth, where I met a good friend of mine who I've been sailing with ever since, and I've done some quite adventurous sailing with him. Then came back to Gosport and did my coastal skipper. These are RYA courses for those not familiar, and eventually bought my own little 20-foot boat, and kind of carried on just gaining experience through sailing. I sailed up through the Irish Sea, over to the Isle of Man, up into Scotland, in some fairly heavy weather sometimes, over to Ireland, and I've been over to the Channel Islands a couple of times, so plenty of offshore sailing in there, no oceans yet. No particular desire to do an ocean. I think it looks fairly tedious, but if we have to cross oceans to get where we want to go, then that's what we're going to do. So Jude, talk us through your intro to sailing.
Yeah, so I met Dave, well, we met 5 years ago, and he had a boat at the time, 22 foot?
29. 20 foot. I thought you were talking about the year.
Oh no, yeah, 20-foot boat. So that was actually my first time on a sailboat. So we went out on that, but it had no toilet, it had little single beds, so that was an interesting one. Dave then bought this 36-foot boat, and we have been sailing on that since 2020. Yep. So I've only had experience on this boat. I have done my day skipper theory course online, but haven't done any other courses at the moment.
So that upgrade was a part of lockdown, so that obviously the 20-footer was camping on the water. We couldn't go that far, and during lockdowns everybody was just craving space and the outdoors, obviously. So we sold the 20-footer, upgraded to a 36. This is much more comfortable. It's got heating, it's got hot water, it's got showers, it's got a toilet for the ladies, and it's just a much more comfortable thing. But because of work, we never really used it to its full potential, I guess.
So back in 2022, we ended up taking 2 months off of work, and we sailed around the English Channel. We left from Gosport, went across to Alderney, did a few of the Channel Islands, into St Malo in France, and then crossed back to Falmouth, and then we went along the English coast and we stopped in various lovely places.
Yeah, and so that was a sort of precursor to what we're doing now. As we said at the top of the video, we've given up our jobs, we've given up our house and moved on board. We wanted to check whether we liked living on board. I wanted to check that Jude wouldn't murder me for
Not yet.
living in close quarters. And it worked out pretty well. I have to say, most people that we talk to don't feel like they can take 2 months off. I worked at a global tech firm, so they actually had a policy. If you'd worked there for a certain length of time, you could take a certain amount of time off. Discuss it with your manager. If you get approval, then it's all good. I spoke to my manager, and he at the time just said, yep, of course you can take a couple of months off. Make sure you have a good time, and we'll see you when you get back. And that was pretty straightforward. And there wasn't really a policy of how long you could take off. It was more of a negotiation with managers, but it's a incredibly easygoing company, and they don't like to lose people, so that was pretty easy. Jude's experience, though, was a bit different in so much as her company didn't even have a policy, but they were supportive, weren't
Yeah, I
they?
had very good management that allowed me to have that time off that I needed and come back to it. Went back to it.
Yeah, so Jude kind of asked, can I have a couple of months off? And the initial response was kind of, oh, I don't know. Everybody had kind of never thought of the question, because she worked at a kind of food factory, and it doesn't come up that often in that kind of an environment. So nobody had broached the question. HR didn't have a policy. I think they then ended up writing a policy off of the back of that, which was largely based on stuff that we were discussing, saying, oh, well, Dave's work says if you've been there for a number of years, you can do this and you can do that. And they thought that sounded reasonable and sort of copied a lot of those ideas because they are reasonable. So don't think that you're not able to take time off just because it's unusual. And the other weird thing is we both got paid for both of the months that we were off because of the way that the UK tax system works. So we weren't dropping our wages to zero. We were kind of getting a rebate and a bit of, because of the way the months lined up, we would get kind of half a paycheck, a bit less than half a paycheck, and then we were back.
We also used holiday for some of it.
And we used holiday for some of it, so we were paid. In the UK, for those that don't know, we get paid holiday leave, and we're encouraged to take it. So that kind of helped, that we used up, 15, 20 days of holiday, which really helped to the financial burden of working out, because we still had a mortgage, we still had bills. But it all worked out really nicely. We had the most fantastic weather for 2 months.
Yeah, the hottest summer in
Hottest
a
summer
while.
in history. It was 45 degrees Celsius when we got to San Malo, which is unbearably hot. But the rest of the time it was kind of mid-20s, 30s, really comfortable weather. So yeah, that's how we've kind of arrived to where we are. The next video, we're going to make a kind of a Q&A, answer a few questions about how did you work out you could retire and things like that, that we get a lot from friends and family and co-workers. So we'll be answering some of those questions. If you have any questions for people that are just about to set off on this journey, pop them in the comments below and we may add those to the list. And we hope to see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.